to addressing the fuel crisis that the world essentially faces at this point in time, that could be addressed with what was largely being called as the Global Biofuels Alliance, which is likely to be launched during the G20 summit. In fact, the latest details that we are getting it is as part of the acceleration process or the energy transition process that's going to take place. This alliance likely to take place where the world's third biggest oil consumer, that is India, would like to push during its G20 presidency, the alliance, and it would be at par with the International Solar Alliance, which was piloted by New Delhi and Paris back in 2015 to bring in cleaner, affordable solar energy within the reach of all. Now, as far as this alliance is concerned, the Prime Minister had essentially indicated that it was perhaps the need of the hour. Now, with regards to the biofuel, remember, for a country which is largely dependent on crude oil, 85% of it is imported. Now, biofuels is perhaps an alternative which India has been advocating, hoping that this alliance would actually help the developing nations. Also, importantly, with regards to addressing the fuel crisis at this point in time, several such alternatives have been spoken about. India is already experimenting as far as ethanol is concerned. In fact, the Minister of Petroleum had spoken just about a few days ago, saying that several alternatives have been discussed during the track meetings that have taken place in the last couple of months, and they're hopeful that the developed nations would basically come together and address the need of the developing nations, especially coming to the fuel crisis. Let me also bring in my other colleagues who are joining us on this broadcast, starting from Suesha, who is here in the International Media Center at Bharat Mandapam. We also have Shivangi Shukla, who's joining us from the national capital. She's at Delhi Hut. Remember, some of these locations where the spouses of the world leaders would actually be taken. In fact, there is an elaborate plan that is put in place and also at the National Gallery of Modern Art, where in a short while from now we would also have a colleague getting you the latest report. Rakshita will also be joining us in a short while from now, getting you the latest details. And outside the Prime Minister's residence is my colleague Priyanka. First, coming to you, Shivangi, with regards to Delhi Hut, give us a sense of what has really been arranged for the spouses of the world leaders. Expected that they would be taken to several of these locations in the national capital. We're given to understand that there is a plan to take some of them to the National Gallery of Modern Art. Apart from that, also to Lodi Garden. These are some of the venues that have essentially been decked up for the world leaders and their family members. Walk us through some of the details that you are picking up.
Well, a very good morning to you, Shravan, all our colleagues and all our viewers watching Republic TV. So I am at Delhi Hut, and Delhi Hut is a very, very popular place among all the Delhi citizens. It's a very popular tourism and a tourist place, because what you get here is something you wouldn't get in many other places. It basically showcases India's culture, India's art, India's industry when it comes to clothes, when it comes to shoes. Basically, the flavor, the deep, rich flavor of India can be experienced at Delhi Hut. So Delhi Hut is already being decked up. In fact, the preparations are underway. We know that the delegates and their spouses will be visiting Delhi Hut. Not just that, we also know that they might be going to some of the other places such as India Gate, such as Akshardham Temple, such as the Lotus Temple, such as the other Rajghat for that matter as well. So this is going to be one of the stops in the lighter moments when they get to experience the Indian culture. Speaking of Delhi Hut, you can see that preparations are underway already for the arrival of the delegates. Everything is being cleaned up, and in fact I'm coming back to you right now as we keep showing you the visuals coming in, and we believe that some updates coming in right now on Republic TV of the delegation. A new delegation has arrived at this point of time. Arrival of the delegation from South Africa, we believe has come in. So visuals of that coming in right now. Arrival of the King Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud, King of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Those visuals coming in as well. Heading it back to you, Shravan, right now as we keep reporting live from Delhi Hut.
Well, in fact, as India becomes the power center right now, as the G20 summit's first day begins, you have all the world leaders now coming in. The latest being the arrival of Salman bin Abdulaziz. He's the king of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Remember, there's also a state visit that's post the G20 summit. A short while back, we've had the other leaders to coming in. The Prime Minister had also reached a short while back, taking stock of the situation, the last minute preparations that are basically underway. The session expected to begin post 9:30 this morning after all the world leaders do actually come in. What we can perhaps see from where we are standing, it's from another vantage point where we are also getting a glimpse of what's really happening at Bharat Mandapam. In fact, there is multiple layers of security that has been thrown around Bharat Mandapam at this point in time. Keeping in mind that the entire area has been completely sanitized, right at the heart of the national capital, where you have this newly made convention center. Just behind me is the Bharat Mandapam, where all the world leaders would be gathering. Undoubtedly, for India, this is a moment of pride. Many would say it's in fact a watershed, a moment whether at all India would be able to steer the world at this point in time, perhaps take them out of the crisis that many face at this stage. So important to point out here is that over the next couple of hours, where the discussion is largely going to take place over the various challenges, some aspects of the agenda that we've been able to get our hands on, certainly one being with regards to addressing the fuel crisis. The Prime Minister had also indicated in an interview that was given to a news agency just about a couple of days ago that a biofuel alliance would also be brought into the picture. That is also on the negotiating table at this point in time. We've also seen about the reforms of the multilateral organizations like the WTO being another major sticking point. In fact, that was also discussed in the finance track meeting that took place earlier a couple of months ago. But what has also been very successful as part of this, the presidency undoubtedly has been with India being able to negotiate and perhaps also embrace the G20 foreign ministers' outcome document that has been steered pretty well. And of course, not to forget what India would be offering as part of their presidency is what they have been able to successfully perform, that is creating a world-class digital public infrastructure. Joining us on this broadcast is also our senior executive editor Abhishek Kapoor. Abhishek, we were perhaps we'll try and reconnect with Abhishek in a short while from now. If I can also go across to Suvesh, who's joining us from the International Media Center at this point in time, and perhaps also some of our other colleagues who are also present here, getting us the latest details. As we were largely talking about, what is it that is likely to be discussed in the next couple of hours before the Delhi Declaration is largely adopted by the world leaders? Whether at all there's going to be a joint communique or not, that is also another aspect that one will have to look into. What are the hits and misses as far as India's G20 presidency is concerned, which the